BSBIOS 2021 Sustainability Report. Today, we are also celebrating the 17 years of foundation of BSBIOS, which we actually celebrated on April 15. Our sustainability report follows the guidelines of the GRI Global Reporting Initiative. It's based on the ESG principles through collaborators and also through stakeholders. We work in an engaging manner. We would like to commend Deputy Mayor of the City of Passo Fundo, Mr. João Pedro Nunes, the President of the City Council, Mr. Evandro Meirelles, and on behalf of Mr. Cássio Roberto Gonçalves, President of ACISA, and Mr. Erasmo Carlos Batistella, CEO of BSBIOS, we also thank all other authorities present, and we thank the presence of our friends, of our guests, BSBIO collaborators, employees, and members of the press who are here and who are follow us on this transition. We also thank everyone that directly or indirectly have contributed to the sustainability report. To welcome, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite Mr. Cássio Gonçalves, President of ACISA. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. For ACISA, it is a huge pleasure to be here conducting this event in a partnership with BSBIOS. This is a very unique opportunity we have here to see the Sustainability Report 2021. I am here as President of ACISA, the Commercial, Industrial, Service and Agribusiness Association. It is a huge responsibility to move on with the work that was conducted by many people who came before me. I see here Mr. Evandro Silva, Marcos Silva, former presidents, Mr. Paim, and we are very happy to have you all here with us, moving forward, looking at economic development, income generation for our city. ACISA is a political entity, but we are non-partisan. We have no parties, we have no politicians, we have initiatives focused on sustainable development, on logistics, infrastructure. Recently, we were in this battle to have our airport, and also to foster entrepreneurship. Any politician that holds these same beliefs, all these politicians, we will always welcome them into ACISA. ACISA is a 100-year-old organization that contemplates the four main sectors of our economy: commerce, industry, services, and agribusiness. And ACISA, and thinking about Mr. Carlos Eduardo Silva, former Secretary of Economic Development. This can be the fifth pillar. ACISA is an entity that is regional. We have regional topics we focus on, and we can be the main regional entity here in the northern region of our state, together with CORED. CISA is also working together with other entities, business people, and public authorities, and also teaching institutions to connect a fair of innovation and technology which will take place from September 1st to September 4th this year. And ACISA had to reinvent itself, our organization. We had to recreate ourselves after the pandemic we've gone through. We are now moving from the format of a traditional fair, which we've had for 15 years, and now we are moving into a larger venue to conduct a fair that is very much connected to the goals of this meeting right here today. It's a technology and innovation to generate business and content. We will have major innovation and technology companies, and we can mention a couple of companies. BSBIOS is a case in point. BSBIOS is a world reference in technology, innovation, and also for ESG. And we will have a lesson with Mr. Erasmo. This is the first post-pandemic meeting / business lunch in a presential form. And you, Mr. Erasmo, you are a reason of pride and satisfaction for all of us. BSBIOS means Passo Fundo. We are very active as an association, and I hope you enjoy this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Cassio. And right now, we invite the President of the City Council, Mr. Evandro Meireles, to say a couple of words. Good afternoon. I would like to say hello to our President, to our Deputy President, João Pedro Nunes. Thank you for your excellent work and for everyone who lives here. Hello, Mr. Cassio, President of ACISA, who has been doing a great work in leading ACISA. Congratulations on your work. Special hello to my colleagues from the City Council. We have several City Council members here present today, and all business leaders who are here this afternoon. Well, speaking of BSBIOS, in my previous term, myself and my friend Rafael Calusi, we went through the situation of voting, putting to a vote a project that would help BSBIOS. I was new to the City Council of the city of Passo Fundo, and the project intended to reach an authorization for BSBIOS to pawn on a real estate area they have. And we gave our vote. We were sure of what we wanted for our city of Passo Fundo. I remember like it was today. We stopped and thought, well, we have to think about the GDP, about collection. We have to think about our farmers. They produce grains and they have to deliver those grains. And I voted on that specific project, Mr. Erasmo, thinking about the people to whom you give jobs. And today, as I enter this room, I see my friend Lidiane, who lives in our neighborhood and who works for BSBIOS. How many families can make a living because of these jobs? That's why the City Council approved this bill. And today we see the results. At the time, we were criticized. But I don't want to go into details about that right now. But we voted for that bill, and this is the result. We see BSBIOS creating jobs, believing in our city of Paso Fundo, believing in everyone, and helping in growth and development. So I am very happy to be here at this event with a company who will present the sustainability report, which shows commitment, transparency, and dedication to our city of Paso Fundo. I am proud of your work. Congratulations on your anniversary, on the anniversary of your foundation. Thank you very much for being here in our city, and God bless you all, Mr. Erasmo, our friend. Congratulations on your courage, on your boldness as an entrepreneur, and thank you for believing in sustainability for our world. Thank you for thinking about the environment. So I speak on behalf of the people of Paso Fundo and on the City Council of Paso Fundo. Thank you very much. We now give the floor to the Deputy Mayor of Paso Fundo, Mr. João Pedro Nunes, who will say a couple of words. Good afternoon to everyone who's here, entrepreneurs, dear members of the association, business people here present who are active as entrepreneurs in our city. I would like to commend Mr. Casio. Thank you very much for the invitation. Congratulations on your work and on your articulation here in the city of Paso Fundo to strengthen our beautiful city. Thank you, Assisa. And I would like to thank also my dear friend Erasmo Batistella, president of BSBIOS. Thank you for the invitation. This is a very important moment for all of us, and I think it's a moment of gratitude, a moment for being grateful and for acknowledging BSBIO's work for our city. This is the city we built every single day. We are very grateful to have BSBIOS with us. Thank you, Mr. Meireles. I would like to commend also all City Council members who approve many important bills and projects. Thank you, Mr. Meireles and City Council members. We have several city secretaries as well here with us. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your work to help Paso Fundo. BSBIOS represents us all. BSBIOS represents Paso Fundo to the world. It represents us as entrepreneurs, as partners, and it represents our spirit of cooperation. Mr. Erasmo Batistella leading the company, we are proud to see the work that you do and the work that BSBIOS employees do. You look at the world in an integrated manner, looking at technology, sustainability. You look at also job generation. You strengthen our economy, create opportunities, and the productive chain is therefore more efficient. So your work, dear Mr. Batistella, you represent the collective of our city. You represent Paso Fundo in a very qualified manner. On behalf of Pedro and on behalf of the city of Paso Fundo, thank you very much for believing in the potential of our city of Passo Fundo. All of us dedicate to this very important city in the north of the state of Rio Grande do Sul. We, as political agents, we will not last for many years, but the public policies will. Um, and we must build a city for all of us. So I thank all former presidents of ACISA and former presidents of other associations as well. With collaboration, we will take Passo Fundo even further. Long live Passo Fundo, long live BSBIOS. Congratulations. We are grateful for your work. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. João Pedro Nunes. And now we will present BSBIOS 2021 Sustainability Report, and for that we give the floor to the president of the company, Mr. Erasmo Carlos Batistella. You have the floor. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon once again. Okay, I just wanted to make sure if you are awake. It's always difficult to make a presentation after such an interesting lunch, and I have to thank you all. I would like to thank ACISA. We are very proud to be part of ACISA, Mr. Cassio. Thank you for the opportunity of being here. This is our first in-person business lunch meeting after the pandemic. Also to our friend, City Council member and President of the City Council, Mr. Evandro, thank you for your words. And also thanks to all City Council members who are here present. Our friend, João Pedro, who's Deputy Mayor. Mr. Mayor called me this morning and we talked over the phone. Thank you very much for your words. And I wanted to say hello to everyone who's here today. We're very glad to be here with the Passo Fundo community and also many people who are watching us online. The pandemic brought many challenges and difficulties, but many tech advancements like the use of internet to communicate. We have people in Europe and Paraguay, in Marialva also, in our business unit, in the US. So we are happy that we can talk to the Passo Fundo community and also to other places. Connecting to what Mr. Evandro just said, 6 years ago, and we wanted to transmit to the community and to our stakeholders. And then we had the idea of creating our sustainability report. With the work of many people, thanks to many people, and many collaborators, employees, all the leaders, we have improved this report year after year. And at the end of today's meeting, you will receive the print version of our report with all the data that I'm going to show you in a very objective manner right now. Some important points we would like to share. We believe that this work has brought many positive impacts. Last year, I went to Washington and we connected to 2 associations. We took our report last year and the feedback we received was wonderful. One of our collaborators showed this to all biodiesel producers in the US. They showed our report, so our report is acknowledged internationally as well. I would like to first of all talk about our vision and our purpose. Our purpose is to be part of the sustainable development of our planet through agribusiness and agro-energy and renewable energies. We want to be among the 3 largest biofuel producers by 2030. It's quite a bold vision, But if you know us, we've started 17 years ago, and thanks to a lot of hard work and dedication, we will focus on the stream and work hard until 2030, like we've done so far. And our values are sustainability, integrity, commitment, innovation, and value generation. Value generation is not just about value generation just for us, and that's what we show in this report. We want to generate value for all the communities we are active in. That is why this is an ESG report. ESG is part of our DNA. ESG is an acronym that is very much trending right now, but BSBIOS was born ESG. We are environmentally correct, we have governance, we produce clean energy, and we have a very strong social commitment. This is our sixth report. Here you see the five first versions. They are all available in our website and through this QR code on the screen. I would like to start by thanking Isaias Klein, our collaborator. He's an employee and he's also an artist. He does a beautiful work. And he designed our cover and all other covers, Isaias Klein. And at BSBIOS, we have amazing artists. And here a little bit of what we've done. As Leticia mentioned, this report follows on the GRI international standards. We are connected to the 17 SDGs by the UN, Sustainable Development Goals. We counted on Abilities Consultancy. Ability is a company that specializes in sustainability reports and sustainability work in general. FIPE, which is the Institute of Economic Research, they calculate our economics. So this is not our data. This is all conducted by the FIPE, which is an institute from the University of São Paulo. KPMG audits our numbers, mostly our inventory of emissions, and this year we have something new. We added Spanish to our report. We already had it before in Portuguese and English, and now we have it in Spanish as well. Before we dive into the report itself, I would like to mention that biodiesel fuel producers, they connect two major chains. First is the agribusiness chain, divided into two. We have a supply for raw material. It can be soybean, canola, sunflower seeds, or different types of fat. And we have also animal fat, the animal fat chain. We produce a soybean meal, which we transfer to other companies that transform that into protein. And we produce biodiesel as well. It's a fuel that connects the distribution and the fuel segments, mixing 10% of biodiesel. So biodiesel producers connect two very important economy areas. They connect to agribusiness in our region, which is very, very important. So this is our function. Speaking of numbers and what we have been doing, well, we have moved forward. When we look at these figures, it's important to see that for this calculation here, we are looking at 2019 figures because the Brazilian Institute of Statistics and Data has a delay of 2 years. That is why. When we look at the economic impact of Passo Fundo, the economic impact in our GDP was of 21.89%. So we moved to 21.89%. It shows our growth. From 2005 until 2019, we contributed with 1.4 billion reais to tax collection in Passo Fundo. And we have also contributed directly and indirectly with more than 20 billion reais for the economy of the city of Passo Fundo between 2005 and 2019. This data is elaborated, and you will see all of this in our report, uh, we have the calculation memory, all the details, and how FIPE, the foundation, calculates these figures. This is important for us because it shows, as Mr. Deputy Mayor said, that public policies are very important. BSBIOS is the result of a public policy to focus on biofuels, and we have other biofuels coming up that can further benefit our region. Well, when we look at Marialva, specifically, Marialva is a city with 36,000 inhabitants, and we have a very efficient unit there. Our share of the GDP moved from 29.8% to 38.31%. So it's a smaller economy, and therefore our share of the GDP is higher. Between 2010, when we started our operations, until 2019, we have contributed with 540 million reais in tax collection, and we've generated over 400 jobs for the city of Marialva. These figures show how important this industry is. At the Foundation of Industries of Rio Grande do Sul, we have talked about the importance of strengthening the industrial sector. Together with the primary sector and the services industry, this really strengthened economies. Last year, speaking about the figures, between Passo Fundo and Marialva, we produced 895 million cubic millions of biodiesel, and we have 13% of market share in Brazil. This is the largest traded volume in the country, 895,000 cubic meters. We've processed 1.1 thousand tons of soybean. We produced 875,000 tons of soybean meal, 228,000 tons of degummed soybean oil, and 97,000 tons of glycerine. There are other products that we produce, but these are the main ones in our industrial units. When we look at our evolution, we've also broken a record in terms of revenue. In our first year, we had 50 million, and last year, 50 million, and last year, we went over 8 billion in revenue, 8.7 billion in revenue. And when we look at the figures in following years, this will have a greater impact even in the economy of the city of Passo Fundo. You see the top line, that's the growth in our production capacity, which means that when we told the city council we wanted to increase our production, it worked. You see the results in these figures. We finished the year with 530 employees, and this year we will finish with 570 employees. So we are hiring more people to cater for the growth we will have this year, and we should go over 9 billion reais in revenues. We are active globally. Through Passo Fundo, we do business with Europe, Asia, Africa, North America. So we have many businesses outside of the city and outside of the country, and we want to further expand by exporting product and bringing funds from other regions and countries into our region. Well, how do we produce biodiesel? This is the raw materials or the inputs that we use. Soybean is the main one, and we are using also animal fat coming from pigs or chicken or cattle, and we have UCO also, which is used cooking oil. We've increased these volumes year after year, and we want to further use residues as raw material. We also purchase raw material from family farmers. 40% of our raw material comes from family farmers. That's over 10,000 families producing, selling to us, and we provide support to them. I've been looking into many countries, and I think this is a unique program that we have, supporting family farmers. We provided 24 million reais of bonus for family farmers. And we've launched the 2SC BSBIOS seal. It's an accreditation seal. I have been mentioning this, have mentioned this many times. We need to accredit our production, and BSBIOS is launching this accreditation, which will allow our suppliers to supply inputs for us, so producing biodiesel for Brazil, for Europe, and for North America. Increasing our activities both in the domestic and foreign market. This will add further value to these raw materials because they will be accredited. Some accreditations which we have and which are very important. ISCC, the first one on the screen, to export into Europe, and we do export biodiesel from Passo Fundo into Europe. We have GMP Plus to export soybean meal. We are accredited through RenovaBio, so we sell biodiesel, and we have carbon bonds, the CBIOS. This is traded in B3, which is a stock exchange here in Brazil. We follow all lab norms. Great place to work. Is a very important accreditation for us. 94% of our employees, they say that they like our work environment. We've received many acknowledgments due to our work. ISO 14001 and 45001 about health and safety. And we've just received these international accreditations. It's a very important work we've done, and I thank all the employees for the hard work. We have the APROBio accreditation as well. We have also this quality seal and an accreditation we recently received from the Ministry of Agriculture in Brazil because of our work with compliance. We have our compliance program with clear rules, and we are accredited. Only 30 companies in Brazil have received this accreditation. We're very glad to be among them. And we have even stopped doing business with some companies and with some individuals. This is a really important target. That's how we can improve the business environment in our country. Well, when we write the report, it's not just about writing what we do. The report is also about talking to stakeholders, talking to clients, suppliers, and in these conversations, we really understand what is important for our business partners. And among many things, we see the 10 points right here in the screen. Number one, according to our stakeholders, responsible supply chain that preserves biodiversity. This is amazing because we hear this from agribusiness. Oftentimes, people criticize agribusiness saying, well, they don't care about the environment. Quite the opposite. Our agribusiness is a benchmark, is an example. Most of all in our region, we have so many initiatives to preserve the environment. That's why what they're telling us, this is important to them. Fair and conscious trade is number two. The circularity and clean production. This is about reusing residue. We have UCO, for instance, which is used to produce energy, becoming carbon neutral. Well, we have all these 10 points that we have listed, and all these points are a compass for us to know where we have to go. So we have a work plan for each one of these 10 points. Last year, well, actually, we just published our manifesto. This manifesto is a commitment from our company with the ESG policy that I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. This is in our website. We have the 10 C's in Portuguese, the 10 commitments with the Passo Fundo community and our commitments with all the communities in the places where we are active. Another important point in our work and in our reports and in everything you do. This year, for the first time, we have an inventory of our emissions, of our CO2 or greenhouse gas emissions. This is something new in this year's report, and you might wonder, while you produce clean energy, do you emit CO2? Do you emit greenhouse gases? Yes, we do. Anyone, just in this lunch right here, it was a wonderful lunch, but we are always emitting greenhouse gases. If we want to reach our global targets to 2030 or 2050, we have to do our fair share. BSBIOS, through a KPMG study, we understood that we emit 22,000 tons of CO2 per year. So our goal is to bring this down to zero by 2030. So now, having this figure, we will take action. We can plant trees, we can invest in clean energies, we can do many different initiatives. We have a working group studying exactly this to become carbon neutral by 2030. When we look at the UN SDGs and when we look at international forums, I was at COP26 in Glasgow representing our sector. We have emissions of scope 1, 2, and 3. And this is emission scope 1 and 2. This is what we produce in our industry. Scope 3 is about the whole value chain. And we are committed to having the whole value chain carbon neutral. This is an even greater challenge, but I hope we can figure this out. Every year from now on, when we publicize our reports, we will show you the curve of reduction of our emissions so that we reach our goals by 2030. We have many also social initiatives. A company must always be in dialogue with communities. We have social initiatives, we support many organizations, many nonprofits, we support sports, and I wanted to highlight our work with volunteers. We have many volunteering programs at our company which have been very successful, and I really want to thank our employees for their dedication. These volunteering programs shows the beautiful human beings we have in our company. We're very proud of this, and here you see a couple of those initiatives. We also have our Integrated Management System, SGI is the acronym in Portuguese. This is about the connection between environment, quality, and security or safety. This is why we received the 2 ISO accreditations or certifications that we received. This is a very strong point for us. So let's stop talking about figures for a while and let's look at our strategy. We recently acquired a unit in Switzerland. This is our first step into Europe. We started our offices there in 2018. That's when we opened our business/trade offices. We acquired this unit in Switzerland, and they only produced through recycled oil, which is a second-generation biofuel. This is our first step, and we can now say that we have a Passo Fundo company with a production unit in Switzerland using UCO as raw material. We have so many European companies acquiring Brazilian companies, and we are working to change this reality around. It can be done with a lot of planning. Thank you very much for your applause. And we can do this with planning, with respect. If Brazil can really explore the opportunities that we have to reduce greenhouse gases, Brazil can reap a lot of benefits from these positive changes. We also have our Paraguay project. During lunch, many of you asked about this. We are working so that by late 2025, we start producing green diesel or SPK in Paraguay. We have many partners working there with us. We have Honeywell and Crown. This is cutting edge technology, and we have two partners in this project, Cobra and Copetrol. Um, Cobra is Spanish and Copetrol is from Paraguay. 90% of our production is already sold to Shell and BP, two huge oil companies who have a major commitment to move towards renewable energies. This is a disruptive project, a first in Latin America. It's being built and designed here in Passo Fundo with our team and using our market intelligence. This is also positive because it brings knowledge. Knowledge cannot be measured in figures, you know. Knowledge takes us to the next level. In Paraguay, through soybean and through the same raw materials, we're gonna produce fuel for aviation. This is not for small aircrafts. It can be used in major, large aircrafts. Just last week, I was in an event about aviation last week in Chile. We had the CEO of LATAM, Avianca, Aerolíneas Argentinas, and many other airlines, and they were discussing that the only feasible alternative for the airline industry right now to reduce CO2 emissions is to use SPK, Sustainable Aviation Fuel, green fuel. It has different names, but it's the same product. This is a major trend. And by 2027, this will probably become mandatory globally. We are once again pioneering and taking a step ahead with this big step in Paraguay. I really want to thank all who work with us, everyone who has helped us for 17 years to reach this point. You know, we pay the same price if we dream small or if we dream big. So let's dream big. I want to talk about a vision. What are we looking at in terms of challenges and opportunities for our industry? Well, this is a bit of what we have discussed in a couple of international forums like COP26, where I was present. We see oftentimes people say, well, the earth is warming up. What are we going to do about this? It's going to be very difficult to solve this equation we see on the screen because we want to have economic growth, we want to generate jobs, we want to have a better quality of life, and at the same time we have to reduce emissions. It's a difficult equation. When we look at the first COP conference, you might remember Rio 92, the summit, the Environment Summit in Rio. And just remember the goals. The graph is constantly going up. We did not reduce emissions. We are actually increasing in spite of all the efforts. Throughout this long journey, there are still things which are not in our radar. Who could expect the COVID-19 pandemic? It's an unexpected fact. Who could expect the sad war we see in Ukraine right now? It was also unexpected, but we have to face it and still think about the environment. It's a huge challenge we face. When we look at biofuels, we are doing our part here at BSBIOS. We are helping. Brazil is a reference and a benchmark. Brazil has had public policies, which is really important. João Pedro has just spoken about public policies. If we don't have public policies, we will not meet our goals to reduce emissions. Public policies generate green jobs. That's what we do at our company. And this is an asset to the world. If we improve here in Brazil, this will have an impact in the world. It's not just about Passo Fundo. We do not control the air with our geographic boundaries. And I wanted to show the figure. Biodiesel between 2009 to 2021, it generated 98 less, actually less, million tons of CO2. which were avoided. This equals 700,000 trees and 400,000 hectares of preserved forest. But we are just a grain of sand in this huge ocean. Brazil is a reference in ethanol. It helps, of course. When we look at 2030, what is our vision? Well, we have a commitment at our company to be carbon neutral. And if all companies have the same commitment, we might indeed start finally controlling emissions. But if we don't have a commitment from everyone, we will not get there. It's a huge challenge. If we want to increase GDP, we need more transportation. People said no one's going to fly anymore with the pandemic. Well, as I said, the occupation rate of aircrafts is actually now higher than before the pandemic. If we want economic growth, our population will grow by 2030. We need more energy. Well, how can we do this math? We need more transportation, more energy, more food, and less greenhouse gases. We can do that if we use the potential we have to reduce emissions. It can be electricity, hydrogen, aviation, green aviation fuel, wind energy, solar, ammonia. Ammonia is a nitrogen which is easier to transport. It can be used for Navy transportation. All these opportunities present challenges, but we have to face them. We have to create public policies so that we can come closer to our 2030 and 2050 objectives. Aviation is a case in point. As I said, they want to have a hydrogen-fueled aircraft or a battery-fueled aircraft, but the technology is not here yet. It takes 15 years to develop this. Well, we don't have 15 years in our hands. We are already running behind. SAF is an opportunity. If we do this, we can increase agriculture production, generate more jobs. So this is the positive cycle which Brazil has to focus on, generating more green jobs with green fuel. Here at Biofuels, at BSBIOS, this is our portfolio. We have SAF, we have HVO. In Paraguay, we will produce green naphtha. We can produce rubber using soybean. We will also produce green GLP in Paraguay. So we are working to do our share. I went to Germany and I rode this car. It's hydrogen moved car, fueled car. This is something very new. It does not pollute the environment as long as we have green hydrogen. It's a trend, however, the cost is still high. Developed countries will probably use a lot of hydrogen for their urban mobility. So this is a trend right now. Finally, I said that we're running behind, and personally, through everything I've seen and studied, I think we are, the clock is ticking, and we are now at the global pact phase. If we do not reach a global pact at COP26, we have to stop with this blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, we will not reach our goals to decrease greenhouse gas emissions. Well, who's going to foot this bill if we don't do this? All of us. My apologies to the politicians in the room. This is not a criticism, it's a fact. If a politician says that they don't have funds to foot this bill, that's not how it works. All of us will have to foot this bill. If you spend more, you have to pay more. Biodiesel is a reality. Ethanol is a reality. HVO is a reality in the Northern Hemisphere, and it will be for us as well. SAF is a global solution. Hydrogen as well. We need to have people at the center. I am very happy. I have my family here today. I am the father of 4 children, and Rafael is here representing my 4 children today. Part of what I do is because I want my children to look at me, 30 years from now and tell me, Dad, you did your share. All of us can do our share. We need to be practical and we can get there and reduce emissions. If we don't do this, climate change will become stronger. Unfortunately, we've seen this year in Brazil. We had a disruption in our agricultural production due to climate issues connected to global warming. Once again, thank you all very much for being here. I believe that together we can create a better and more sustainable world through agroenergy. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for your attention. Thank you all very much. We invite Mr. Fernando, President of CDL, to pay a tribute to Mr. Erasmo Carlos Batistella, who will receive a commemorative plate. Thank you all very much for being here, present at the launch of BSBIOS 2021 Sustainability Report. You will all receive a copy, a hard copy of this report, which is also available in our website, www.bsbios.com. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon.